on the wrong one. You're on the wrong one.
Hanging on the walls and the stage and everything. You know,
You're right now. What's that?
I am so disorganized today. Sorry about that, babe.
It's stuck. And had I done that? Oh. Oh, that's falling. Oh!
Boys to stick around and help us finish moving the chairs. We would also like for half a dozen or so of you that are in this math class, some of the boys and one or two of the girls.
To this building, I can't help but reminisce. This institution of learning has meant much to my family and me. My two brothers, my sister, and I each spent our first 12 years of schooling in this building. Our children graduated after 12 years in this system. My husband attended his last 6 years here. He played basketball where you all are standing. There was a wooden floor here. The floor did not slant, and this was our gymnasium and our auditorium. He helped win many of the trophies, the old trophies that you have in the trophy case. After college graduation, my brother taught in this building for 22 years. My sister taught 35 years in the system, and several of those years were in this very building. And I have taught a class in every room in this building over a span of 35 years. We are very grateful to have been a part in educating so many young people. And I see several faces in this audience to our former students. My first year of school was spent in the room next to Mr. Moore's office. At that time, all 12 grades were in this original building. The two rooms in the front and the restrooms were not built for several years later. For many years, we were summoned into this building by the ring of a triangle bell, rung by the janitor. Mr. Shorty Guest was his name, and he had a large pocket watch that he said hadn't lost a second in 40 years. He very faithfully got us to class on time. The electric bell came years later. There was no running water. The janitor filled water jugs with water from the pump in front of the building. He also carried water to the boiler in the basement so we could have heat in the wintertime. And since we had no running water, we did not have the facilities that are found behind the storeroom. In sunshine or rain, snow or sleet, we found those facilities in the form of outhouses quite a distance from the back doors. The one on the left had girls painted in huge letters, and the one on the right had boys painted on it. And on this very stage, spreaders, assembly programs, school plays, and graduation exercises. And in this auditorium, we have been spectators of the same. There is a vast store of memories here. Some will fade and disappear, as this building will, but I'm thrilled and eagerly awaiting the replacement. Thanks for asking me to be a part of saying farewell.
And we can have the wall say what went on.
We'll be in trouble. Oh.
You know, we understand there might be some books and things buried under the stage. And you know we had a number of students that were looking for these. And as they explored, they came across one stage, they explored further, and came across the second stage, and explored further, and came across the third one, I think, down here. So we still haven't gotten there. And so I was visiting with the contractors today and asked them if we could be present when they broke in there, because they'll tell them what we might find. I have always liked to enter these time capsules that they bury. That's always been a thrill to participate in those. And this is one of the things that we will do when we build our new classroom. We're going to bury a time capsule. And we want you to be thinking about some items to put in there. You have about a year to be thinking. We may want to put a school newspaper or a trophy or something like that. So we're thinking each class will be given an opportunity to do something like that. It's a great pleasure this time that I call forward one of your former superintendents and let him say a few comments. So at this time I'd like for Mr. Moore to come forward.
I am glad that Mrs. Harrison made her speech first, because she said a lot of things that I won't need to say. So this is going to be short. She spent a little bit more time in this building than I did, but I started first. My first day in this building was the first Monday after Labor Day in 1924. My mother brought me up here to school and asked Mr. Battles, who was the superintendent at that time, if this boy is old enough to go to school. He said, well, if he'll be 6 years old by the end of January, he can go. My birthday was January 31st. So that was my doom. I wasn't really ready to go to school, and to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have cared if the building had burned that night. I was having too much fun at home. But my attitude changed pretty fast after I started. I learned that school was a good place to have fun too. Also learned to read, and well, I never did really learn to write. I've often kidded Mrs. Harrison's brother Amos that I wouldn't have gotten through the first grade if he hadn't helped me with my writing. And I never did learn to write well, but I did enjoy the arithmetic. I spent just 30 years in this building as an employee. You know, that totals up to 42 years altogether, and you kind of get attached to a place that is your home away from home for 42 years. But, you know, the life cycle of a building is much like the life cycle of a human being. The older it gets, the more maintenance it takes until it reaches the point where the maintenance just won't take care of it. That's the point that the old building has reached now. I know from experience that it took a great deal of money and a great deal of time every summer to keep the building maintained. And I know that it hasn't improved any since that time. Of course, one of the main places that has had to have so much work has been the roof. And I understand that it has been fixed so many times it can no longer be fixed without tearing out, which is a cost that would be prohibitive. So I too am glad, I guess, to see the old building go. I know that there will be a much bigger or better building, more modern. We know that this is obsolete, but back in 1916, it was about the latest thing. But a lot of time, 70 years has passed since then, and you know, there's not very many buildings in the state that's been used for classroom purposes for 70 years. I'm looking forward to seeing this new building come up, and I want to wish all of you folks and the teachers and Dr. Coons the best of luck and the best of school years and the years to come. Thank you.
Very profound statement there, and you're at the right age to remember this and apply it to your life. And that is that you have the opportunity to serve a long time. This building has served us very well for 70 years. Most of you here will live 70 years, and you have the opportunity to serve well. Get your education while you can. And this is one of the things that we'll be doing, and improving this campus is providing you with that opportunity. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Moore, the current principal of the high school, forward and let him talk to you about some of the students who are in school, some of the things that's happened during his 5 or 6 years here, and what he sees in the future. So, Mr. Moore, if you come forward, please.
In thoughts, reminiscing, I don't know about the building, but the educational process that you've experienced are the students that we have produced from the school here. The educational quality of students we have, I think, are very satisfactory. It goes to proof that, gives proof that the fact that the educational quality has nothing to do with the facility in which you work in. This building has served that purpose. Now, we've had many fine educators, and as a result of that, we have produced very fine students that have become productive citizens of our community here. And this is what, not the building, but what the teachers are for, is to motivate students to become good citizens. Now, on a more personal note, which is my first day in school here was it's kind of unique. It was at Christmas time, or right after Christmas time. I started the second semester of the 5th grade in 1948. And Mr. Stoffer's was my first class. It was that place where they had all the 5th grade and all the 6th grade. The whole 12 grades were included in the building here. They had the gymnasium. They had the gymnasium floor here, and I attended church here. Mr. Eugene Stockwell was my friend. He was also the English teacher. He was also the minister. And they had in noon hour that day, they had boxing matches set up out here. He came out with 2 pair of 16-ounce gloves, and order had already been established, except for the new kid. That was me. And so they matched me up. The match was 3 one-minute rounds. They stopped it in the first round. And later that night I told my folks I thought we made a mistake and where I was supposed to go to school. The superintendents that when I first attended was Mr. Manus, Mr. Roy Dodds for a short time, and Mr. J.L. Moore. Following that, Mr. Bond and President Mr. Kuntz. Mr. Moore came, I think he was the superintendent in the 7th, when I was 7th, 8th, or 9th, and I can't remember a time that I didn't see him doing administrative work in the office that I didn't want his job. Well, I've got part of it. Mr. Bond, he really had to instill some qualities that I think is important, in that whatever administrator you have or teacher, I think the Porum students deserve the best administration and the best teachers possible. You shouldn't anybody have to apologize teaching at Porum or going to school at Porum. I think this is probably the best student body that I've ever been associated with.
If we were in church, I'd say amen. Last March, the school board, after much planning and a lot of soul searching and a lot of talking and consulting with architects, proposed a bond election. It finally passed this past October. Originally, the plans called for a 3-phase construction program. But with the economy in Oklahoma the way it is, it was decided to get as much as we could for our money. And what I'm going to tell you now is what we see down the road. It's the board and the school's 5-year plan for the construction, renovation, and curriculum improvement. The faculty have just gone through a proposed 5-year curriculum improvement plan, and this is to support our construction plan. When we finish in about 3 years with the construction and renovation here, we'll have approximately 30,000 square feet of classroom and administrative space. The new building, of which we have some blueprints down here showing the different views from the outside, and then a view of the interior of the building that will sit where this one is seated. Now, fortunately, we were lucky enough to save some money in our building fund because we knew this building could not be repaired for the last several years, and have enough money that we can add to this bond issue to pay for this one and pay for the portable buildings that are out here. When we're through, we'll have all of this as classroom space. We will be adding a program or two in the years to come. We'll be deleting a program or two. There are programs that are simply not financially that we're simply not financially able to maintain because of enrollment and cost. Things change. What we took when I was a kid, a lot of schools don't even offer now. And we hope to stay in trend with them. We hope to be teaching you what's necessary for you to survive in years to come. We want some people to be successful. We want all of you to be. We're going to be proud of it. When you come back as an alumni, we want to hear that you're the manager of a major company, or that you're a professional, or a doctor, or a lawyer, or whatever it is. We want to be proud of it. We want you to be proud of the system that you graduated from. And this is what the future holds. Your whole life is in front of you. And we want you to be successful. If you're not, it reflects back upon the school system, your administration, and your teachers. And you know my feeling about that. I like to be a winner. I want you to be a winner. And I know you can do it. All you got to do is to apply yourself. I'll give you an example. I've got a brother that they told that would not graduate from high school, let alone go to college. And he's a very successful person because the teacher took after him. That's what these teachers are here for. They can take after you. You can do as they say and study. You can do it. It's befitting that we close out this last service. I don't know whether many of you know what taps are. It's where you pay tribute to those that are no longer here. And this building's not going to be here very much longer. And you know, I'm a newcomer and I'm sad about it. So I'm going to call Mr. West to come and play taps. And then when we get through, let's orderly leave the building and go on down to the gym. Except for those two people that won't take us. Mr. West, if you come forward.